Right, lights, camera, action.
I'm gonna laugh.
This is the start, bro. I'm not, this is the
Yeah, I know.
introduction. We're already there. I'm gonna post this from now. Hi guys, and
Yeah.
welcome to. Oh, yeah. I'm actually gonna post this. No joke, people will love it.
Uh,
Hi
no,
guys. You- right. Last time. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Crypto Insight UK's podcast. Today we have the infamous Crypto with Leo. He's joining me. He's now, I would say, probably the closest person to me in the crypto industry. I consider him a personal friend now. We speak quite a lot outside of crypto. He rings me every morning. It's quite annoying. No, I'm
yeah.
joking. No, I'm
Get out of here,
joking.
man.
But I feel like this podcast is going to be quite, in a way, fun. We've got loads of information to share with you, but also quite difficult because we do speak quite a lot. So I feel like we're quite close, and we're just going to really focus and try and keep it professional for you guys.
Yeah.
So without any more, I'll pass it over to him. Take it away, bro.
What is up, guys? It's nice to be on this channel finally. I know me and Will have been kind of planning this for quite a while now. But like you said, yeah, we have turned into kind of good mates. I think we first went live. I messaged you about going live when I had literally like maybe even under 10K followers, and you had around 35 at the time, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So yeah, it goes way back, and we actually had a sick live. I remember that. But yeah, man, how things have changed. Like just everything. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know you've taken over the space recently, like absolutely blowing up. Very proud of like what you've been doing. As I said, I consider you a friend, and like, in fact, let's get into that as a first topic. So, what do you think recently has been your like key properties? We kind of talked about this a little bit before. What do you think your key properties to success have been with social media specifically to start with?
For me, I'd say it's closely tied into. It sounds crazy, consistency. Like when I started social media, bearing in mind I was never big on social media before. Literally, I only got Instagram, all of the socials back. I even deleted TikTok. I didn't have TikTok on my phone until early into 2021. So it goes pretty weird at like how I've ended up in this position. But I'm kind of a bit of a perfectionist, and I do have quite a big drive when it comes to wanting to be good at something, especially something I enjoy.
Hmm.
And I was passionate about crypto. I didn't have an outlet to talk to anyone about it.
Hmm.
Not a lot of friends in my area know much about crypto. And it was kind of just a way I could really actually express myself through that, talking about something I'm really passionate about. Because as you might know as well, I nerd out in front of a computer about 12 hours of the day just researching. It's crazy. So you need someone to talk to about it. But to the growth wise, it was literally, I'd say, tied into just some crazy regime. I like having a regimented life, like a list to go off each day, and then consistency as well, man. That's pretty much the key thing. It's crazy. But yeah, really just creating a niche basically, and I think mine was breaking things down so they're simple and easy to understand.
Yeah, I like that, and I feel like you're very on topic with a lot of things that you present as well, which obviously helps with content. For myself, I like stay within a category of XRP. It's my comfort zone. It's like where,
Mm,
like, obviously so much going on there, but I feel like you're quite broad in terms of like what you look at. You kind of stay
yeah,
up to date with things that are like happening right here and right now, which is like very good, obviously for anyone who's looking into crypto news. So go and get over to his TikTok if you don't already. Breaks things down really quick for you. But let's get into it a little bit deeper. If you were just starting out on TikTok now,
mm.
what from what you've learned in the last year, what would you recommend for people? Like, what's your best like tips for them in terms of like you could say
Um,
like hashtags or like for example like trending music, or what would you?
yeah, so these are things I'm more noticed like recently, or at least for me anyway. A big thing for me is actually like connecting with my followers.
Mhm.
For example, creating a Discord where I can actually just talk to anyone that joins it. I try and reply to any messages on Instagram. I'm pretty much trying to reply to every single comment on my videos, but that's just a big thing for me personally. The way I always view things as if I was in the other shoe. And if I was someone learning about crypto and I wanted to ask a question or didn't understand something, I'd want the person whose video I just watched, who got me interested, to be able to answer that as well. So that's the kind of way I try and view it. In regards to the basics of TikTok, when you get the likes of hashtags, I think I went a bit crazy at the start. I thought I had to put all the trending ones in. You don't. You just niche down to your niche. Otherwise, the video is going to go out to people that probably don't even watch your content, as in that aren't even interested in your content. I mean, and I'd say most importantly is quite literally just work rate. You've got to be pumping content out, and like you said, staying on top of things. I think, look, for me, the way I see crypto, the amount of research I've done, I know it's the future. I know the technology is there, the software you could even call it. So for me, it's more like which sectors could implement it first without disrupting something crazy. As in, which sector could actually take this on board, and it would make it 10 times more efficient, and actually progress that space. And I feel like that although some of the big names out there, it's awesome to talk about and look into, and a lot of people want to hear about it. There's sectors that kind of go unheard of, that go slept on, and those are the ones that I'm really trying to knuckle down on. Example, decentralized data, because the hype was there for the metaverse, but how the hell is a metaverse going to run if it haven't got decentralized data? Do you know what I mean? Furthermore, you've got that's decentralized data storage as well. The metaverse isn't going to functionally work. Like, this thing's going to be huge. It needs insane amounts of data storage. Furthermore, interoperability. That goes without saying. That is pretty much one of the key reasons crypto is not where we want it to be. I guarantee you, when crypto is either fully adopted or literally going into that process, is because interoperability will be at the forefront of that. Right now, and I think this is probably a big scare factor for a lot of people joining, is the fact that there is so many different chains. Like, how many different cryptos are there now, all built on different blockchains, etc. And I think that's a big scare factor. How many people just don't know how to send crypto somewhere? And until interoperability comes and it's just seamless, then we're just treading water right now.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think that like some of the areas that you touched on there, obviously going to be very prevalent in the future. Should the future go the way that people are speculating it to go at the minute. One thing that I have a juggle with in my head, like at the minute, is so I think the same sort of things as you. Like, I think that GameFi is going to be huge. Obviously, that kind of links in with Metaverse in a way.
No, 100%.
Like play to earn gaming, and then obviously all the offshoots.
Just to jump in there, the way I see it is, GameFi. These games that are developed properly, they're all going to link into the Metaverse. We've already established the Metaverse. I got asked yesterday on a live, what's your favorite Metaverse? And it's like, there isn't a favorite Metaverse. There is a Metaverse. It is one interoperable digital world. That's all it is. I could jump into your house in the Metaverse and then go play a shooting game out on some alien planet. That's the reality of it, all while I look at my wrist and talk to my friend on my watch. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think that, like, in regards to that, I was in a Twitter Spaces the other day, and like, I know that in those places, like, people don't necessarily have to tell the truth, but there was a guy in there who said one of his friends worked at Meta, and they were saying that their platform they want Meta to just be the most like interoperable platform. They don't really want to do too much outside the box specifically. They just want it to be like kind of a launch pad to like launch into all the different metaverses, and then a central hub, which I can kind of see happening for a big company like that. And I think it's quite scary and dangerous in a way of like they can have massive control because of their, like, obviously Novi Wallet, like Oculus, their DM coin, like they've got like a currency, a wallet, interoperability into all the networks, and then also like augmented and virtual reality with Ray-Ban and Oculus as well. So, but I also don't think, this is what I'm trying to get to, I also don't think we're quite at the finished product, or not even very close, because the only metaverse projects that I really see are things like your Sandbox or your Decentraland, and it's like playing Minecraft when I was like 16.
Decent, like these games right now are, to put it, can we swear?
Yeah, go on, hit it
like
up.
The shit, mate. Like, they're so bad. Like, and that's the point I need to make. And it's like, so that's why, literally talking back to it again, we go back to the basics. So what am I investing in? I'm personally investing in the platforms developing play to earn games and blockchain based games. So I'm looking at just literal simple ones. You got Gala, you got Engine. Those are the things I'd be focusing on, and then I'd be focusing on my interoperability plays as well. So my focus right now is not, you go for most of these games and everyone's going to hype it. This play to earn game's coming out. Reality is, man, I wouldn't even play it myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why it's so hard to, put something out. I mean, some are good. For example, you're going to get blockchain-based games literally on your phone. That they'll do well, and I anticipate, because you can literally earn from your phone. They're going to do amazing. But, when we're looking at these PC games, and bro, I'm jumping around as a pixelated avatar, and it's just like that's not it, man.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that you're right, and you bang on with the mobile games, like the games that like kill time that you can use like whenever you just can pick your phone up, just like you would with any other mobile game. Like they're nothing special really, are they? You just kill time with them. Like I think they'll really pop off first, and I think it's going to be a little while before metaverse games catch up. But I think like as soon as you get one or two big creators into the space who just create one decent game, then it's just going to be like, or play to earn games specifically. P2E will take off, and from that. Like
I think, that's why it's good for both Engine and Gala, because they're both looking to develop, AAA games. And that when AAA game comes out, it's gonna be nuts.
It's game over, isn't it? Really. So yeah, okay, cool. Actually, I'll touch on one more thing to that, and so that's where I've been like in a bit of a mental block in terms of like investing, because I'm massively into XRP, as you know, and my channel know, and I had the speculation that that's going to help with the financial system, and that's not changing. Like even short-term speculation that we're going to have a run-up short-term, but my thought process is that I know that these metaverse projects are a long way off, and this is kind of why I've introduced this NFT project that we're talking about. And that we may or may not touch on in this video, but the reason for that is because. Like, I feel like they're kind of like penny stocks at the minute. Like, it could go anywhere. Like, who knows who's going to be the winner, who's going to be the loser. Like, some people got some great ideas. For example, like Blocktopia looks great. Tokenomics are crap. Like, Wilder Worlds looks great. It's floating about, though. It's floating about. Like, are we getting anything from them? Like, I feel like people are paying a lot for a speculation that it could go up in the long term, and some of the aesthetics look great. But what I don't really get is where and how do you value something like this? Is it infinite value because it could go anywhere, but also it is just speculation like right now, and like Sandbox, for example, and I don't want to pick on it because I think it's a project it is innovating, so is Decentraland, but they're crap as well. Like, so how do you determine value in these spaces? Because surely it's just short term or really long term, and that's where I'm like kind of stuck. So I'm not gonna.
I think it's like you need to try and relate it to we're at the beginning. So those are the big plays right now. These are established now companies like worth billions. They're the only thing that they're gonna be like might have challenge with is you can link it back to what was it, even like BlackBerry and iPhone, or what was it, something like that. BlackBerry just didn't develop, they didn't adapt to how times were changing with touchscreen phones, and people wanted that. BlackBerry were huge when you just had a keypad, but they didn't adapt. And I think that's going to relate. So the question is Sandbox, is Blocktopia, is Decentraland, are they going to adapt as the space moves forward? Realistically, they have the money there, but it's been proven before that doesn't actually change if companies are going to do it or not. So I think it's that's the real question. I think is they need to now adapt with the space as it grows. Reason why they've got that value now is because they're the kings at the start.
So okay, that kind of answers my question. But for my like investing portfolio, the way that I've played it and the way that I am going to continue to play it is holding XRP until we at least get this short term to mid term rally around the lawsuit. Rediversifying some profits, then I'll probably stake it in some stable coins and then start to really look into some speculative investments like that. But like as I said before, we are launching an NFT project, which is going to be, we're going to just use that treasury that we raised from an NFT project to diversify into like 5 or 10 different metaverses depending on the community's choices, and just try and spread our bets, because as you're saying, if they are like, let's say like on the examples you used are like BlackBerry, iPhone, like an AOL or a Yahoo or a Blockbuster or an Apple or a Facebook, because they're all going to be mixed into that mix. So if you can get a good spread of a lot of them, the decent projects, and you've done your research into them, like some of them are going to 100,000 or 1,000x from where they are now. So that's kind of what you always need to catch a couple of those gems. Okay.
I think you're right.
So on the back of that, then let's completely like flip it and let's go towards the financial system. I want to take you there, Leo. I know it's not your like favorite place at the minute. You're into the gaming, and I know that actually because we blasted some Warzone.
I'm always about it. Like the thing for me is that I need to. You touched on it. Speculation. That's one of the like the biggest things, and I never want to get trapped in that
Hmm.
in crypto. Now, I have never hidden away from the fact I'm bullish as hell on XRP. That that goes without saying. Um, I think that the more hate it gets, I mean, the amount of hate it gets never changed my opinion because I've always done my own research. I've written my own research reports on XRP. So for me, my mind is set. I did enough research to literally have that conviction, not even care what anyone else says.
Mm.
And it's at the point now where, I did a tweet about it yesterday, and I was like, if a project is fundamentally developing, is legitimately moving forward, whether that be new partnerships or developing on its ecosystem, etc., or actually being utilized,
Mm.
and that does not reflect in price, then trust me, that's an opportunity right there. And
Mm.
that's literally what's happening with it. XRP. It literally had its biggest year last year, like the most successful year in history. Price did nothing.
Mm.
They're stuck in a lawsuit with the SEC. It's coming to a point now where this is the speculative side of my investment with it, is the fact that I just personally think that, whether they're regulating through enforcement or they're regulating behind the scenes and this lawsuit is stalling everything, that's my opinion. The US has no regulation. They don't literally have a grasp on what is going on.
Mm.
But the pressure's building. And I just don't, in my head, there's no, they won't lose.
Mm.
I comfortably say that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think like you're absolutely spot on there in terms of like building on ecosystems and that sort of thing. And that's kind of like what I was trying to touch on with the metaverse stuff because
Mm.
it shows the market that we're in that we are just in a speculative market. And this is
Oh,
where
yeah.
we again, like I was talking about your sandbox and your Decentraland, because I'm not trying to pick on them, but they are the ones with utility. But I find it strange that they are popping off and the utility isn't like it's not a finished product. But when you've got
Furthermore,
something,
yeah, I think the hype behind it, Facebook changing their name to Meta,
mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah,
basically the thing is, once again, still speculative. You're expecting those guys to come out on top and develop and be the winners.
mm-hmm.
However, Facebook changing the name to Meta, saying they're developing the metaverse, the amount of money they pumped into advertising for it as well, like that would have been, I don't even know, hundreds of millions.
Mm-hmm.
That means, however you want to say it, the metaverse is going to happen. That is a fact now.
Mm.
Because
Yeah.
whether these projects go or not, the metaverse is still coming.
Yeah, so it changes that
Um,
speculation into
yeah,
like reality. Is that what you're saying?
yeah. So the metaverse is a reality. The speculative side is who is going to be that forefront of the projects, basically.
Yeah, and I think that argument is similar to that now that we all understand that crypto is now a reality. Like
Yeah,
before in the previous bull run, like 2017, I hoped it would be, and I even thought it would be back then, but we didn't have any confirmations. But like this in this last year, where you've got things like El Salvador obviously holding Bitcoin on the balance sheet, CBDCs coming through for some countries, like obviously started in like the Bahamas, I think was the first country to officially launch theirs,
got
testing
so
it.
many doing it. Yeah,
Yeah, I know. Like testing in like 70+% of countries all rolling it out. Like China, one of the biggest like economic powers in the world, literally going to roll theirs out for like actual use at the end of this
yeah.
year. They've been testing for ages, so that's where I kind of like get a bit unsure or want to talk to you about with XRP specifically. If we're going to go into that, because
Just to jump on the China bandwagon, sorry,
Mhm.
quickly before we go into XRP.
Sure.
There was so much slander towards it because of how everyone was saying it was a fail,
Mm.
and this idea that they're just going to utilize these CBDCs or digital, what would you call them? Yeah, digital currencies basically to track everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Reality is China's been doing that for years. They've
Mm-hmm.
been doing that 6-7 years. Like that, nothing's really changing in that sense. Quite literally, the blockchain at the end of the day is going to be traceable. That goes without saying. However, like we know right now, there are projects that can privatize transactions, and that's fine by that. But reality is, for me, I've never seen a problem, and this is the controversial part of me, and I say this all the time. The world is not going to go fully decentralized.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I hate to say that. Not right now, and not in the short amount of time either.
Yeah. No.
Um,
No, I
So
agree.
yeah,
I agree completely. I agree completely with that statement, and that is actually why I hedge a lot of my, or why my portfolio is XRP, other
mm,
reasons. But I also believe that too. We can't go decentralized.
yeah.
We imagine now, like if they just go, okay, right, we are. Everyone's just going to use Bitcoin. There's going to be no government. Sort it out, lads. Like, what are we going to do?
I'm telling you right now, the world would fall apart.
We'll be
You know,
absolute riots.
centralization is comfort
Hmm.
because it means we do not control anything. We don't have to do anything. We just simply have to live.
Hmm.
When it's fully decentralized, you are in ownership of everything. Now, there's value to that, but there's also a lot of work that would have to go in behind the scenes.
Hmm.
Furthermore, we have economies that are centralized. Like, everything would change if we weren't fully decentralized, and that is something that we would not be prepared for, like at all. It's something that would slowly move into it, where the companies would eventually start moving the decentralized route. I reckon the economy would probably be one of the last things to go decentralized,
Yeah, I agree.
which is a big thing for us to say, obviously. But I mean, it's not really, because saying that's why I'm a supporter of XRP. Everyone's like, oh, you're in crypto. Why you should support decentralization? Why are you supporting an asset that wants to, make more efficient a centralized system already, the financial system? And reality is because it's not going anywhere.
Mm.
Like, it's so unstable. We know that, but it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, especially like short term, and by short term I mean like I don't know, maybe in my lifetime we could see a change, but I don't even.
Yeah,
It'll be
essentially,
like an
like,
absolute cruel. Like I don't understand when people come on. Like I get a lot on my channel. People come on and say like, oh, it's a banker's coin or whatever, and it's like I'm not here like for any other reason than
I love that
to.
argument. I love that argument because when they say it's a banker's coin, I was like, I know it is.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
That's quite literally what they're trying to do, is
Yeah,
support the banking system. Like,
exactly that. I'm only here to like because I like tech and I want to flip a profit at the end of the day.
mm,
And I don't think that the banks, these people, so people come on and say, oh yeah, it's a banker's coin, okay. Well, the banks own all the money. They have all the money of the world. And if it is a banker's coin, then what do you think is going to happen if if they're just like, okay, yeah, well, we're just going to stop supplying cash to crypto, or what? However, they can play it in a million different ways. They could say, okay, yeah, it's a banker's coin, and even if we did go fully decentralized, let's say, who's got all the money? The banks. They'll just buy all the bloody Bitcoin. Like I know that it's out there anyway, and it's out there, but it's out there for a value. Everyone's got a price, and at a price, you will sell your Bitcoin
yeah,
to a bank. And then once you sell your Bitcoin to a bank, it would no longer be decentralized because they just buy all the Bitcoin. So like,
yeah,
and then Bitcoin, if that turned into the currency, this is just a shit example, but if it did, they just buy it all anyway because they own all the cash and you're only valuing it in cash. And so until you can get away from valuing things in cash, you can never be decentralized anyway. And that's not going to happen for a long,
yeah,
long
exactly.
time. So
Yeah, I guarantee, like, the amount of times people will say that, it'll be the same person that next question would be like, how much is your portfolio worth?
yeah, exactly.
Like, bro.
What in fiat that you don't care about apparently.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I thought you were decentralized for a second, but I think when it comes back to that it literally comes back to the thing, especially something like XRP. It's basically making more efficient the financial system, and it does that through, and it's linking back to literally the foundation blocks of everything and how this world is going to move forward is interoperability. If it makes the financial system seamlessly interoperable with each other, which right now it's like, yes, it's interoperable, they can work with each other. But not only do they have different messaging standards, so the banks are slow at communicating with each other, and not only do the banks not hold each other's genuinely hold each other's currencies, they have Nostro Vostro accounts, which is the fact someone thought of that idea blows my mind. Like there was someone sitting around a table or in a group of people, and they said, "Why don't we just all have our own bank accounts in each other's banks of each other's currencies?" And it's just like, what?
yeah,
You're telling me you guys can't? It literally just leaves all the work to that one bank to then do everything on the other side as well. It just makes no sense to me, man.
yeah, I know, and like it is a madness that we are still running on the systems where things take what 3 to 5 days for a payment to clear. You're on a 7% failure rate on Swift. It's crazy. Like how can we do that? Like remittance fees for some people are up to like 30% of a transaction. Like how is that
Robbery.
possible? How is that possible? Why do we accept it as well? Like why?
Yeah, bearing in mind, these are all the invisible taxes,
Yeah, I
the
know. So
taxes you don't even know about.
And then, so people like the arguments against XRP, which we'll just touch on for like 5 minutes or so, and then we'll come off that topic. But the
Mm.
arguments against it, that people are like, oh yeah, obviously, they think it's centralized and it works with the banks. But like the arguments for it, for not just XRP as something for an end user. So even if the banks just introduced it, still took the same remittances away, still took everything, at least you'd have instant settlement. So there's
Yeah.
an argument straight away for the bank. They could even make their 30% but instantly settle. And then they
Yeah.
could also say, okay, well, half your fees and settle instantly, or whatever they want. So there's one incentive for the bank. And the second incentive, like you said, is the nostro vostro. Like that's what $27 trillion estimated, like tied up capital.
Just locked up, right?
Yeah,
There,
just doing nothing. It's sitting there doing nothing. So why
it's
would
quite
the bank?
yeah, it's just idle money. It's just idle money.
Exactly. Why would they not want to? Why would they not want to like free up that capital? It's a crazy argument. And then thirdly, you've got something like, okay, well, there's new tech coming all the time. I get that. Some things are efficient, more efficient potentially. I don't know. But the thing that people really don't get their head around in this space is what you got to understand is if it is working with the legacy systems, they work a specific way. And in that specific way that they've always worked, which won't change, they need to trust you and they need to have worked with you for a long time before they implement your system. Doesn't matter if Joe Bloggs down the corner has a new world-beating idea. If you've been working with someone for 10 years and you're like, got all these like rails in place, you're like, okay, we're going to roll it out this way. They work
Yeah.
on a slow basis for two reasons. One, because they want to trust you and they need to test the network. And two, because if they get it wrong, then that's it. It's game over. It's game over for our economy. Like everyone's like beast in America and the UK. Like why aren't we catching up with China with a CBDC? Why haven't we got more implementations of like new tech coming in faster? And it's like, well, for America, for example, yeah, they're getting overtaken like on paper in this race to use in the blockchain. But if they get it wrong, they mess up the whole world. Like the whole world the whole financial system of the world just crashes. So
Yeah.
it's a bit of a mad argument. What do you think to the CBDC race in general? What do you think is going to happen there? If we're going to put timeframes on it and speculate to what we think is like going to happen, because we know that Tom Emmer
I
and
think
some senators are coming out with some legislation soon, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is the main focus. I think time frame would be based around just everything needing to be regulated. I think something I can relate it to this is like the Digital Pound Foundation in the UK. I think what they're doing is how CBDCs are going to be properly developed. And that is bringing the private and the public sector together. The private sector obviously being it through the Digital Pound Foundation's sake, Quant, Ripple, Avalanche, Electronium. And they are then trying to work with the public sector, being government, banks, etc. No, well, the government, basically, to put it plainly. And they're trying to do that and then develop a digital pound. That would be the best way to do it, I think. And once again, it goes back to this thing, we don't want CBDCs or etc. We don't want this because it's centralized. Once again, it's going to happen. Like this whole idea of, decentralization, even the element of the metaverse, if Facebook do come out with their metaverse, which they are, it's going to kickstart the race. Anything can develop after that. The Facebook's metaverse is not the be all and end all. Just like Facebook isn't be all end all. Facebook, honestly, I don't know many people using Facebook anymore. Now, yes, they've obviously gone on to own a ton of other social media platforms. However, I think, anything can develop, and especially in the way that we now have the technology coming. I think, CBDCs are going to happen, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And I also want to state while we're on this sort of topic that people who don't really understand CBDCs and they come through and say like things like generic comments like, oh, okay, cryptos aren't going to happen. Like no one understands, like the pound's going to stay, crypto's not going to come through. And it's like, I don't think you actually understand what an actual basis of crypto is. All crypto essentially is at a very basic level is a ledger, an open source ledger that which just means like imagine like a spreadsheet that just takes down every single transaction and can't be edited. And that's all it is. And that all we're doing is moving our financial rails and rebuilding everything that we've got now with data on the internet on top of a financial system that can like back that. And that's kind of what Ethereum is in general, but like is in terms of the data side and the development side. But in terms of a payment rail, all it is like a new payment rail that just that records all transactions. It's more complicated than that, but at the very basics, that's what it is. So people who come through and think that crypto is not going to come through, it's not really going to change anything. And for for the end user, there's not going to be any difference in their day to day spending, in my opinion. What's the difference between paying contactless now? Obviously, there's a lot going on back end that's going to be different, but there'll be no
Yeah.
different for the consumer than paying contactless, like as they are right now with their
Bro,
debit
another
card.
point I've made before is like the idea that, how early we are now. And this is like something that I think about every day. Is like we are so early right now. We're investing in technology that is one day going to be pretty much the base of everything. Okay. And this technology we're investing in, when it is that base, people are going to be using it and they don't even know that it is being used. That's what excites me. Do you know what I mean? The idea that we're investing in something that one day someone's not even going to know they're using.
Yeah, exactly that. And it's like, in a lot of ways, everything's going to change, and in a lot of ways, like you say, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen, and the only things that are going to change, and you talked about this a little bit, in terms of like tracking and stuff. The things that will change are we will probably get an online wallet printed as soon as we're
Yeah.
born. Our digital ID will be tied to that, and that will be tied to that is like how you can link your bank account, and it will make things a lot more seamless and a lot more easy. So there are pros and cons to like giving up some anonymity, but I also think there'll be another layer on top of that where they kind of have to keep it anonymous, but they can still trace it back to you if they really need to.
Yeah.
I think that like a lot of things, like you say, like transactions are monitored now anyway. If you're a limited company or whatever, you can all the transactions that you make have to be through a bank. Like you can make cash transactions, but even if you make a cash transaction, they ask you where it's going if it's over a certain
Yeah.
amount. So I think it would be pretty similar anyway. What's the difference? The only difference is for me is like some people who I can't see a problem for anyone who's not got anything to hide. First off,
Yeah.
it's going to make things a lot easier in terms of like going to sports games. You could have your ticket like tied to your ID, which will be tied to your phone probably to start with, but you also unlock your phone with your face, so it's probably just going to be your face. It's going to be your wallet. Like
Yeah.
let's be honest. How much easier is that? If I go
Yeah.
to a bank or if I want to spend something, I just say like, okay, it's my permission to like pay this person or whatever, rather than have to get cash out or anything like that. Just literally retina scan or show my face or put my thumbprint on something or whatever the identification might be.
I mean, obviously, that I think yeah, when we do eventually get there, there'll be like slight risks to that. I mean, people could be taken advantage of, kind of thing.
Yeah,
But reality is that once again, those issues are going to develop with the idea. So there will be ways to stop that. But yeah, the concept of it is insane, and I think it just goes back to just a seamless ecosystem, pretty much.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I just think everything's going to be on the blockchain one day, and if and when that happens, everything's going to be like so. It's going to seem so different, but it's going to happen so fast. Like if you can open your phone, like you can, like I was saying with your face, why can you not open your front door with your face? Why can you not pay for something with your face? Why do you need to even have any physical asset if you can just see it on like online
Yeah.
almost like any kind of deed, ticket, anything like that? All those sorts of things are going to be like instantly tied to yourself. But there's also positives to this as well, because I think and I see, especially in the world that we work in, there's a lot of abuse that happens online, like racist, sexist, ageist, whatever you want to say, like, and stuff that's like not really acceptable to say,
Yeah.
but no one can be identified because they're an alias online. But I think that is one thing that it will really help and change is something like that. So what do you? And we'll go on to that quickly. So, do you see any advancements coming soon in terms of security for like online or anything along those sorts of lines?
I think my security goes away from, social media bullying kind of thing. My security goes to, bro, the fact we're even on Google Meets right now, that our data has been harvested by Google for years. When I use Facebook, suddenly these ads are popping up, Facebook's been harvesting my data. My security lies more in, decentralized Web3, basically, like, and that's why one of my main, things I'm looking into this year is decentralized, basically just Web3 platforms. Where we can find a decentralized search engine. Like, you see, this is the thing. A lot of people like the question when people go, oh, can I get into crypto with no money? Reality is you can. Like, you actually can. You just support a Web3 platform, and they will reward you in their token to do that. That's
Like
why I'm such a fan of pre-search. But literally, the idea is, because it is a decentralized browser, for example, they're not harvesting your data. You have ownership of your data. So you then get rewarded to be advertised to. Now, at this point, would you rather get advertised to and get paid, or not get paid and not be advertised to? I know I'm just going to take the advertisements because I don't care anyway.
yeah,
So, do
exactly.
you know what I mean? I think that's where my security more lies, and is having control and ownership of my data.
Yeah, I like that, and I think that that's a great point that you bring up there, and something good for anyone getting into the space. So the example you drew it was pre-search, but like
Mm.
an early mover in that sort of space was like BAT, like Basic Attention Token, do
Yeah,
the same sort of thing. So they're two ways that you can get into crypto with no money, essentially.
I think
So
pre-search will be bigger. I want to make that cool though.
okay,
Pre-search will, easily,
Leo's
easily.
calling pre-search right now, so we'll see what happens in that space.
I did call it. I called it at under 20 cent, and it's now at like 30, 38. So,
Okay,
you know,
okay.
legit.
Here he is, Mark
Yeah, I'm just
Cuban,
saying.
back
Just
again.
saying.
No, no, just kidding, just kidding. So, where do you want to take this now? We've got probably another 10, 15 minutes of recording that I want to go through. Is there anything you want to specifically touch on? I feel like I've interviewed you a lot, but I feel when we chat, we always chat about loads of different things. So, is there
Yeah.
anywhere you want to take this?
Um, what do you want your role to be as the space develops? You have a platform. What
Okay.
role do you want to play as the space develops? Because you talk about crypto. What can we relate this back to? Relate this back to, I don't even know. God, there hasn't really been anything like this. An industry that just came out of nowhere, and is actually going to change the world. But you're in a good position. You have a good following. What do you want your position to be as it develops?
Yeah, I find that a very weird question and a strange thing to think about because we've seen in the past, obviously, a financial industry. We have seen that, and the people who have a lot of influence over the financial industry are people normally who are high up in things like legacy systems, like banks, or
Hmm.
MPs, like politicians, those sorts of people. And we've also seen the opposite side or the other side of what we are is social media content creators. And they have no influence on the financial system. They have nothing. They don't have nothing. They don't. Don't mean that like that. I mean they have nothing in terms of finance. So now we're in this weird world where we are creating content on the new financial system. So what that makes us is like almost because everything's decentralized, but they're following us. It's kind of like it will create a sort of centralized entity of people who follow your opinion. So you're kind of becoming a bank, like in a way, like not in a way of like holding people's assets, but you hold their
Mm,
value, and their
okay.
value is in their data and their attention, and then that attention you can then like use to put towards whatever you like and where your values go. So the question that you asked me is where I want to be. I want to be somewhere where I can help people understand this space, and that's where like I really provide value or try to provide value. And I also want to help people generate income, live and like be financially free. And I personally want to become like a digital nomad. I don't think people should be tied to the 9 to 5, and I think that with the right amount of work and like drive, I guess, yeah, to
Yeah.
start with, you can get to that. So long term, I want to be somebody who I'd like when I leave this place, this planet, I'd like to think that I positively affected a lot of people's lives. I'd like to affect them financially in a way so they could have more time. But also, one of my end goals is to like help a lot with mental health. So I think that a lot of the people that I speak to on their podcast, which I find quite a weird trend, and maybe it's because I try and talk about it, but a lot of people on this podcast have similar like um, outlooks on life. Like they're so driven, they have
Mm.
passions for things. A lot of people have had mental health difficulties and have come back from that, or are very active about mental health. So if you, one of the things that you said specifically at the start was that you really like to plan your days, and that is a mental health like mechanism, like a way to like think about your mental health. And I think that that's going to be a
Hold
very
yourself
important
accountable. Yeah.
space. Yeah. So how about you then? I'll flip the question back to you. What do you want to do?
Um, I didn't even think about for myself, man. Um, my focus is on literally, I say it and everything, it's just providing value.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like I said, I like to put myself in another person's shoes. So if I'm getting into a space, I want to be that person. It's not, I don't, there's going to be a multitude of people. I want to be a person who is providing value. And, just as we want, blockchain crypto to make the world we live in today more efficient and more, what's the word that I was using? Begins with an S. Seamless. I
Okay.
want people to have the ability to just seamlessly get into this space by just understanding these simple basics of it and then working their way into it. I think this space can be made very, very confusing through big words, but everything can be broken down easily.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, that's probably one of the biggest things right now. So yeah, my focus is just continuing building out a platform. I'd love to one day, develop into the space. Not my focus right now, obviously, with obviously doing a lot of social media content online. That's not my focus because that's not really something I'm trying to. Do you know what I mean? I've told you about it. It's not. I don't want to basically be seen as a creator just making, because I'm seeing so many people just create money grabs basically,
Mm.
and I'm not about that.
Mm.
Your project, legitimate utility.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are going to be rewarded for getting involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you're developing something like that, which takes time, which needs to be developed, a lot of people just create an NFT collection and chill it out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really about that, but one day definitely connect with a lot of people, because this, I don't know if you've had it, man, like the ability to reach out to a lot of people in this space. That's one of the most amazing parts of having this position. So I've reached out to the actually, I'm not going to name any names on it, but it's amazing to see some people reply to you.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. But my focus, like I said, just keep providing value. That's what I'm
Yeah,
at.
I think that's a very that's exactly the mindset that we need in the content creation space, because I know, like you said, like a lot of people aren't really about that. Or some are. Like I think that a lot of people in the space, especially at
I think the people providing value in this space are everyone knows now.
yeah, you can see it's quite obvious
Yeah.
who's doing what. But I think one thing that I didn't really mention that I do want to do, like at least medium term, like long term, I think mental health is going to be a massive part of my life,
Mm.
like in trying to help people with that. But medium term, like what I really want to do is create like a sick community where I have like, or we as a team have like people everywhere. So I want like esports, everything that I'm like passionate about. Like I
Yeah.
like esports, I like crypto, I'd like to have. Newsletters going out, like me and you were talking the other day, and I think that this could be a bit of a teaser for people, but we want to have like a podcast sort of chat show that we want to start recording. I just want to be able to, like, with this following that we've created, I don't know if I'm speaking for you here, but like just be able to show people what you can do with it. Like let's not just be, I don't want to be generic like the next Bill blogs just shilling crypto projects like you're saying. I want to use it to like influence things and change the world and make it a better place and uncover things, like show people that it's not actually as hard as you think. All you've got to do is be passionate about something, really get your head down and dive into it.
I think, yeah, it's another thing that taps into it is like educating people on, the benefits of crypto. One of the simplest benefits of crypto is tokenization. Just like anything, even NFTs technically. They're basically, and in somewhat you could call it securities in a way, because that's how it could develop in the future, and that's where we need those regulations. But I think it basically, the tokenization aspect means it basically simply equals accessibility. And I think that's going to be one of the huge things. And I think that how that can be tapped into so many different things is going to be amazing to watch play out. And it's only going to take a few big names to realize this. For example, we've seen Disney making NFTs. Warner Bros. Came out with the Matrix NFTs, who I freaking love. We're seeing so many big names now. Coca-Cola NFTs. It's going to continue happening, especially big brands. For me, the future of NFTs, or at least the next big thing, will be huge brands using NFTs to basically incentivize and make it interactive for someone to get involved in that company, that entity.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's going to be the next big thing. And I think that's the leapfrog for them.
Yeah.
I'm just excited for this whole space, man. There's so much I could talk for hours.
Yeah, there's so much coming up, and it's going to be like, I think you're right with the NFTs. It's their more social tokens. Like if McDonald's released like a McDonald's coin or whatever. But if, especially like you say with NFTs, they're so easy for any big institution to release. Like if you I don't know, like shopping at Adidas or whatever, and Adidas releasing, like, which they have released an Adidas NFT. But then let's say that Adidas NFT gives you like a pre-jump to anything that comes out plus like an 80% discount if you hold the NFT. Like it.
Or imagine, you get Jordans. They released extremely limited sneakers,
Hmm.
and you have to get it in the form of an NFT,
Yeah,
and you get the physical object as well. But they'll both be tied together, and it removes fakes
yeah,
because it's
yeah.
proof on the blockchain that is the legitimate pair.
Yeah, you can
I
say
think,
that this is like number 200 of 500.
yeah, and
Yeah.
for example, that I only say that because obviously resold shoes in the past, and go through all these the fake scenarios. So I think NFTs will get utilized by hype projects easily, and I think I'm surprised more aren't doing it already. To be very honest with you,
Yeah, I watched a podcast the other day, or listened to a podcast about like the secondary watch market and how they were exploring NFTs to like certify like Rolexes and stuff like that. And there was a new project coming out about that, and I can't really remember the name of it. It's probably not good right now, but they were saying how big the secondary watch industry is, especially at the minute, and they were trying to like utilize NFTs for certification on that. And I thought, well,
I mean,
that's
watches are great investments as well. So I just
yeah,
say it.
yeah, they are. I want a decent watch. It's the only material thing that I've ever really wanted, but I think that it's something that would hold value over time anyway. So,
100%.
but I don't know what I want anymore. I did want a Rollie, but now I don't know if I do
I think the
anymore.
best thing to do. The thing is, it's not even about
Is that flex?
buying a
Is it?
Rolly. It's about being a store of value, and it
Yeah.
increases. That's right now. Your main focus should be hedging yourself against inflation,
Hmm.
and that's the most disgusting part. I said it, but once again, I tweeted it the other day. I'm getting into Twitter, by the way, so I'm actually enjoying it. Um, I said, look, if you didn't basically buy the dip on crypto, or if you're not at least exposing yourself to crypto, and if you did not get a pay rise, then due to inflation, you just took a pay cut,
Yeah,
basically.
7% tax on yourself
Yeah,
if you live in America.
the invisible tax again. So if like I said, you could earn 30,000 for 10 years, but realistically, each year that 30,000 is worth less and less and less and less, and
Yeah.
it's just compounding. It's disgusting.
Yes, exactly that. Like if even on a non-compounding rate, if you're losing 7% a year for like 10 years, it's like 70%. It's just
Mate,
madness.
it's actually disgusting. It's actually, yeah.
So
We're in such a privileged position.
we are, and like everyone who's listening to this podcast, you're also in the same space. Even if if there's the first thing you've listened to, if you've listened to 100 podcasts like this, you've got to realize. I know people say it, and it goes blasé, but now like you are early to this space. You don't need to throw all your money in here. We are talking about it in terms of a hedge against inflation, even at the bottom level of your asset allocation. But you don't need to do that straight away. All you need to do is start understanding it because you're so early compared to where this space is going to go. Like this is a space that very legitimately could and I think will engulf all asset classes because it's just a new financial rail. And when you start to understand that that's all it is at a basic level, you'll probably start to be able to think about things in the way that me and Leo do, like the tokenization of everything. Like it will come, like it's got to, because it just makes sense. It makes sense, and it sounds ridiculous to say it out loud, but like if you actually think about it at a long-term perspective, it sounds so logical. Like it's the most logical thing that could happen.
In my head, I can only think about watching this back in 20 years, and it's just we're gonna be like, fair enough. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
we're sitting on our little metaverse sofa, like
Yeah.
there's us guys.
Literally, oh, bro, that's the madness. Like, reality is, I was gonna make a joke earlier, and it's like you're like when I eventually leave this planet, and I was like, and you go to Planetopia, because who knows where we're gonna be in regards to our consciousness. And I tapped into it the other day. There was a Simpsons episode back in the day, and it was a plug into your neck, and you entered what they called the intranet, which is basically just the metaverse. That's all it is. And reality is, with things that are being developed, what is it? Elon Musk is developing something called the Neuralink, which is literally a chip that goes into your head, and it can translate neurons into code, which can then be translated into information. What the frick, man? Do you know what I mean? Like, what the hell is going on? And all this stuff. And this is the thing: how we went from a brick phone when I was a kid, and you just it was just numbers and 3 letters on each thing. And now we're sitting in a position where I can talk to my phone and it will type for me.
Yeah, exactly that. And like that, what you're saying about Neuralink as well. Like, didn't he speculate that by like in 20, 30 years, he'd be able to download human consciousness.
Exactly. That's why I said about going to Planetopia.
And it's just mad in that aspect, because you think, like, you made the example again of like a brick to what we've got now. Like you had a brick to start with. I had a Nokia 3310. I could send text messages. It cost me a lot of money to send a text.
Bro, my dad used to have a one of the first phones, and you took round the handset, and then you took round a battery pack with it. You had to carry a battery pack, which is, bearing in mind, a briefcase.
Well, then we like that and like pull the antenna out, and you're like, yes, bro.
No, yeah. Oh, if I had it here, I'd show you, man. It's crazy.
But the reason
it's about this big, and it's just crazy. I love it.
The reason that I like talk about that is because it shows you how far innovation and like technology has come in this short space of time. And as technology advances, it's again like another exponential thing. Like I think the growth curve of crypto is. As that advances, the faster it'll advance in the future, because you've got that technology base to keep building on top of. So I think things could change really quick. But at the same time, like, we've had one technological jump. Where's the next one going to be, and how's that going to take? And it's going to be within crypto, and our presumption, or my presumption at least, is it's going to be the metaverse to start with. It's going to be where we really take off.
I'd say we've had in regards to tech growth, we've had very exterior tech growth. You know, the computer in front of me, the phone in my hand, and the next step is going to be stuff we don't even see, and it's going to be that's going to be the next step. Is, you know, slowly and surely we're just moving away from what we see in front of us, and it's going to be what's physically in us,
like enhancement sort of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. And
but that's jumping crazy fast.
Yeah, with that, like, let's wrap this up, bro.
Cool, man.
I just want to say thank you so much, Leo, for coming on to my podcast. All your socials I will put in the description of this video.
Thank you very much, man.
Always great to speak to you. And as I said, guys, we have released a little teaser here, but we are really planning on creating some kind of chat show. So if you've got anyone you want us to speak to, or the first person you want us to talk to on the chat show, please drop them in the comments, or send me and Leo a message, or comment on some of our social media stuff. So that would be sweet. Is there anything you want to say just to wrap up and say to my people on my YouTube?
If you're new here, don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere.
Literally, just don't go anywhere, man. Don't let this video be the last thing you watch. Just go research something.
And also, on the back of that, that's a great point, is don't get too scared by the market. Like, don't overexpose yourself so you don't want to be involved in this market ever again. Like, if you take a loss or whatever you do.
Or yeah, like, sorry, just to jump onto that, it's like not even about it's the fact of being trapped. If you overexpose yourself, you're trapped, because you know, 20% dip, and you're not going to pull out that at a loss. You don't want to. So I think don't overexpose yourself and get yourself trapped, because realistically you don't need to. But also research so you have the conviction, you know what you're holding, and it's stress free.
That's it. So thank you for your time, Leo, and thank you guys for tuning in. Peace up.
Thank you guys. Peace out.
You're right.